A very happy morning, happy afternoon, happy evening based on what time you're watching this lecture. Friends, now let us start the next chapter, which is Levy of GST, which happens to be the most important topic with respect to setting the foundation for the further chapter. So this will be foundation chapter. So once you are clear with this foundation chapter, all the other chapters will be based on this. So levy is the most important event of your any tax law. Here levy of GST, you are talking about levy with respect to your GST law. So only when there is levy, there can be collection. If there is no levy, there cannot be any collection of tax. So for having a tax, first levy should be satisfied. First thing that should be satisfied before before collecting a tax should be levy. So levy will be followed by collection, and it has been proved a number of times, even tested by Supreme Courts. When there is no levy, there cannot be any collection. Now friends, when you talk about levy, the main section which talks about your levy is section 9. The main section which talks about your levy is section 9. Section 9 of your CGST Act, read along with section 5 of your IGST Act. So CGST Act, it is section 9, and IGST Act, it is section 5. Friends, always remember that whenever we are discussing about any section, basically it will be only of CGST Act, unless otherwise I make a reference of IGST Act. So if I tell only section 9, it means that CGST Act. And wherever required, if I take a section of IGST Act, I will be referring that section 5 of IGST Act. So normally, most of the discussion will always be around the provision of your CGST Act as well as CGST rules. Only and only specifically if I make a reference to IGST Act, then only you are talking about your IGST Act. Now having said so, you have to understand that before we, in this chapter, what all things we are going to see. So let us have a bird's eye view. Also understand that from now onwards, for all the chapters, we'll be having a bird's eye view, which will be clearly giving you the understanding of what all provisions are there in this chapter. So bird's eye view will serve two purposes. You will know what are all the sections and rules that we are going to discuss in this chapter. Secondly, you will also know what are the limitation of these chapters. You will also know the boundaries of these chapters. Okay, our discussion will be of so and so concept. So there will be two important value additions that you will get when you see the bird's eye view. So from now onwards, all the chapters, you will start with bird's eye view. Right, so when you see the bird's eye view, there will be two important purposes that will serve. You will know all the sections and rules that are there in this chapter, and more importantly, second point is more important, you will know what are the things or what are the boundaries of these chapters. Now when you talk about this levy, first we'll be discussing about your section 1, that is applicability of GST. GST is applicable till which area? Applicability of GST. So first our discussion will be of applicability of GST. Then obviously friends, we'll be discussing about your charging section, that is section 9 of your GST. So thereafter we'll be focusing on section 9 of CGST Act, right along with section 5 of your IGST Act, levy. Then we'll be focusing on your levy of GST. And when you talk about levy, we are going to see that totally 6 P's has to be satisfied, but the first 3 P's will be focusing on your product, process, and your place. How many P's should be there for satisfying levy? Totally 6 P's, but first 3 P's are very important. Then you are going to see the next 3 P's. So the first 3 P's are product, process, place. For levy to be there, there should be goods and or services. Goods is defined under section 2 clause 52 of your CGST Act. Services defined in section 2 clause 102. Friends, always remember that definitions are always given under section 2 unless otherwise discussed. So definition means it is section 2. The moment we are discussing the definitions, we'll be discussing almost about 130 plus definitions. So the moment you're talking about definition, it will be section 2. It will be section 2. And there should be goods or services, and more importantly, there should be supply. Now, just now I said that all the definitions are given under section 2 unless otherwise discussed, which means that there are few definitions which are not given in section 2. One of the important concept is supply. So friends, understand that initially when GST law was introduced, you had model GST law, where supply was also given under section 2, but supply is so very important that they thought that let us not define it under section 2, let us define it separately to make its importance very, very clear. So supply is given under section 7. Supply is given under section 7. I'll repeat, all your definitions are actually there in your section 2 of your CGST Act. Supply in your model GST law was under section 2, but when the main GST law was there, which was passed by the parliament and the state legislature, it was there under section 7. The reason being, it is very, very important that they thought that let us not define it under section 2, let us define it under section 7. So section 7 talks about your supply. Section 7 talks about your supply, and friends, section 7 has to be read along with 3 schedules. Schedule 1, which is otherwise called as supply without consideration or deemed supply. Schedule 2, which talks about nature of supply, whether the supply is supply of goods or whether it is supply of services. Schedule 3, friends, talks about cases which is neither supply of goods nor supply of services. So section 7 has to be read along with 3 schedules to attach to CGST Act, and friends, these are the only 3 schedules that are there attached to CGST Act. So all these 3 schedules are read along with section 7. How many schedules are that attached to CGST Act? 3. And all the 3 schedules are discussing about supply. Schedule 1 talks about supply without consideration, otherwise called as deemed supply. It talks about supply without consideration, otherwise called as deemed supply. Schedule 2 talks about whether it is supply of goods or supply of services, that is nature of supply. And schedule 3 tells few categories where that they are neither supply of goods nor supply of services. So that you have to understand, right? So the product is goods or services defined in section 2 clause 52, section 2 clause 102 respectively. Process is supply, section 7, right? Read along with schedule 1, schedule 2, schedule 3. And the place, I mean, when you talk about the place, it is either intrastate or interstate. It is either intrastate or interstate. That is, what is intrastate or interstate, that will be there under your IGST Act. So it is intrastate or interstate. If it is within the same state, it is intrastate. If it is within the same state, it is intrastate. And friends, for intrastate supply, you will have CGST plus SGST tax. And if it is from one state to another state, it will be interstate. For interstate supplies, you will have IGST tax. So if it is within that particular state, it is CGST plus SGST or CGST plus UTGST, as the case may be. Within the same state, CGST plus SGST. Within the same union territory, CGST plus UTGST. And if it is from one state to another state, it will be IGST, right? So that will be the first 3 P's. So this is the bird's eye view of what we are going to discuss here. First part is section 1 will be discussing the applicability of GST, and levy is there in your section 9. Section 9 of CGST Act read along with section 5 of your IGST Act. Totally there are 6 P's, out of which the first 3 P's are focusing on product, which is goods or services defined in section 2 clause 52, section 2 clause 102 respectively. Then it is process defined in section 7, very important, therefore it is not under section 2, section 7 read along with schedule 1, 2 and 3 of your CGST Act. And place is interstate or intrastate. If it is within the same state, you have CGST, SGST. If it is within the same union territory, you have CGST, UTGST. Interstate, from one state to another state, IGST, right? So that is the bird's eye view of this chapter. So you know what is our what are the points, what are the sections that we are going to discuss, as well as you know what are the concepts that we are going to discuss. So it will also set the boundaries. Now friends, let us discuss about the first subtopic of this chapter, where we are going to focus on applicability of GST. So when I tell applicability of GST, we are focusing on your section 1. We are focusing on your section 1 of your CGST Act. So the moment I tell applicability of GST, you are saying till what extent, to what extent of India GST law is applicable. So section 1. And friends, when we move on to section 1, so applicability of GST, as discussed, it is discussed in section 1. When we see section 1, it tells that CGST Act is applicable to whole of India. It is applicable to whole of India, including the state of Jammu and Kashmir. Now friends, Jammu and Kashmir is divided into 2 union territories. Now it is divided into 2 union territories. Union territory 1, union territory 2. One with legislature and one without legislature. one with legislature and one without legislature. So you have one Jammu and Kashmir Union Territory which is with legislature. Second, you have Ladakh, another Union Territory which is without legislature. What are they trying to tell? That now it is applicable even to the state of Jammu and Kashmir. Now it is no more state of Jammu and Kashmir. It is two Union Territories. Union Territory 1 which is Jammu and Kashmir which is with legislature. Union Territory 2 which is Ladakh which is without legislature. It does not have a legislative assembly. Right, and we have discussed in the beginning that GST law was not applicable to Jammu and Kashmir from 1st of July 2017. Jammu and Kashmir accepted GST law on 8th of July 2017. Friends, all other states had GST applicable right from 1st of July 2017, whereas Jammu and Kashmir had GST applicable from 8th of July 2017. So that is a clarification that it is applicable even to Jammu and Kashmir. Now, when I tell it is applicable to whole of India, it becomes very, very important to understand what is meant by India. So India is defined in section 2 clause 56 India. All you have to remember is section number. Clause number you may not focus on much on it, but when we are discussing, we will be discussing the clause number as well. Section 2 clause 56 defines India, and India is defined in a way where we are going to talk about the land area of India as well as the sea area of India as well as the air area of India. So we have bifurcated the legal language of India into three parts where we focus on land, water, land, sea as well as your air. Now when you talk about land area, things are quite simple. Then they talk about India, they tell that it is the entire territory of India as referred to in Article 1 of Constitution. Entire territory of India as referred to in Article 1 of Constitution. And friends, what that Article 1 of Constitution tells? It tells India comprises of all the territories of states, all the union territories and other territories as may be required. So it is not only focusing on your states and union territories, it is also focusing on other territories as may be acquired. Now what is the meaning of that? So tomorrow if India acquires a portion of say Pakistan or a portion of say China, that will be also part of India, right? It includes the states that are there as of now, it includes the union territories that are there as of now, and if tomorrow India acquires a part of other countries say Pakistan or China, even that will be India. So they are trying to tell in a very, very wider language. So Article 1, so when you talk about the land area, it tells that territory of India as referred to in Article 1 of Constitution. And friends, what your Article 1 tells? Article 1 tells that it includes all the territories of state, which means state is included, union territories are included. Also, this third point is very, 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 very important. What is this third point? This third point is telling that it will include also such other territories that may be acquired later on. That is not acquired now, but that may be acquired later on. So that will be also part of India. Territory of India even will include that. Right, that is the land area. Now friends, let us see the sea area. When you talk about the sea area, what is given in sea area? It is telling that it will have territorial waters. That is, we are going to discuss that territorial waters is nothing but 12 nautical miles. Sea bed and the subsoil underlying such territorial waters. Not only the territorial waters, but also the sea bed. Also the subsoil underlying that territorial waters. Not only the upper portion, but also the subsoil. Not only the water portion, but also the subsoil which is underlying the territorial waters. Continental shelf, exclusive economic zone and any other maritime zone as defined under a big law name which is referred to as your territorial waters, continental shelf, exclusive economic zone and other maritime zones act 1976. Basically they are talking about the focus is more on territorial waters and exclusive economic zone. Territorial waters and exclusive economic zone. Right, now friends, we have to understand what is territorial waters. Territorial waters is a measurement in the sea area from the baseline of India, and that measurement is 12 nautical miles, and that measurement is 12 nautical miles from the baseline. And you have to understand that India has got sovereign rights over territorial waters of India, which means sovereign right means exclusive rights, full rights over territorial waters of India. And when friends, when you talk about exclusive economic zone is 200 nautical miles. Again, starting from the baseline, not from 12, starting from the baseline, it is 200 nautical miles. India has got economic rights over exclusive economic zone. So, to understand this, the first picture was all about the land area. The first picture was all about the land area that we have discussed, and now we are focusing on the second picture, which is all about the sea area. Now what is it is trying to tell? First you have to fix the baseline. So when you are fixing the baseline, the boundary of India, whatever is the baseline, each state will have a different baseline. From that baseline till 12 nautical miles, you have territorial waters of India, or otherwise called as territorial sea. Here India has got sovereign rights. Otherwise called as exclusive rights, full rights. And friends, there's one more concept called as your exclusive economic zone, which again starts from the baseline, but it is still 200 nautical miles. Which is exclusive economic zone. And when you talk about exclusive economic zone, friends, you have what? Economic rights. You have economic rights. So when you talk about till territorial waters of India, that is 0 to 12 nautical miles, you have sovereign rights. Which means exclusive rights, full rights. It is part and parcel of India, right? Territorial waters will always be part of India. But when you talk about exclusive economic zone, which again starts from 0. Territorial waters, it is 0 to 12. Exclusive economic zone, it is 0 to 200. It again starts from 0. So it is 0 to 200. Territorial waters was 0 to 12 nautical miles. See, nautical mile is nothing but measurement in sea. When you travel by road, you measure in kilometers. Nautical miles, when you travel in sea, you measure in nautical miles. That is the difference. And 1 nautical mile is roughly equal to 1.85 kilometers. So nautical mile is nothing but measurement in sea, right? So kilometers is the measurement when you travel by road. When you travel by sea, it is nautical mile. 1 nautical mile is roughly equal to 1.85 kilometers. So territorial waters, it is 0 to 12, where you have sovereign rights. Exclusive economic zone, it is 0 to 200, where you are talking about economic rights only economic rights, not full. You cannot tell that it is part of India, but if some activity is going there, India can always tell that tax will be belonging to India. Only economic rights, only for the collection of taxes. My friends, there was one more concept earlier which is not relevant as of today, which is nothing but 24 nautical miles. This 24 nautical miles, again 0 to 24 nautical miles, was actually called as contiguous zone of India. 0 to 24 nautical miles. Earlier you had a customs control till here. Your customs right was till, customs authorities has full right till 24 nautical miles. They can travel within 24 nautical miles. Anyone who's entering 24 nautical miles, customs officer can ask why he is entering, what are the goods there in the vessel, and if the person is not following that order, he may even shoot that person as well as destroy that vessel. So customs officers powers were till 24 nautical miles, contiguous zone. Now that customs right is also extended till 200 nautical miles, right? So if I were to tell in another simple way, what are we talking about? So if at all you take a baseline, if at all you are talking about a baseline, so when you talk about 0 to 12 nautical miles, then you talk about 0 to 24 nautical miles, then you talk about 0 to 200 nautical miles. So when you talk about 0 to 12 nautical miles, you are talking about territorial waters of India. 0 to 24 nautical miles, you are talking about contiguous zone of India. 0 to 200 nautical miles, you are talking about exclusive economic zone. So friends, here you are talking about 12 means territorial waters of India, 0 to 24 is contiguous zone of India, 0 to 200 is exclusive economic zone. So friends, when you talk about your territorial waters of India, India has got sovereign rights, exclusive rights, full rights. TWA was part of India, is part of India, will always be part of India. 0 to 24 nautical miles earlier was relevant because up to there customs officer had all the powers to stop the vessel, search the vessel, seize the vessel, and if the person is not following the instruction, to shoot that person and even destroy that vessel. Now even that customs powers is extended to 200 nautical miles. So when you talk about 200 nautical miles, till that area customs officer has got rights in terms of your customs law, as well as India has got economic rights. When I tell economic rights, what it means? It means that till 200 nautical miles, if a person is doing any activity in the sea, say for example extraction of say oil, right, or with some sort of minerals, in that case if he is doing till 200 nautical miles, Indian government has got all the rights to collect the tax. It cannot tell that it is part of India, but with reference to tax collection, it can always tell that tax will belong to India. So only economic rights, and that too not entire to 200 nautical miles. So it is only designated areas. So that is the importance. So as of now, only two things are relevant. One is territorial waters of India 0 to 12. India has got sovereign rights, entire TWI, not only designated areas, entire TWI. CZI has lost its relevance. Earlier it was relevant for customs rights, now it has lost its relevance because the customs right is also extended to 200 nautical miles. When you talk about EEZ, exclusive economic zone, designated areas, not the entire part, designated areas, India has got economic rights to collect the taxes if any activity is done till EEZ, as well as customs officer has got rights to stop a vessel, search a vessel, seize a vessel, and shoot a person or destroy the vessel in case instructions are not obeyed. Right, now beyond 200 nautical miles, what we have is high seas. Beyond 200 nautical miles, we have something called as, we call it as high seas. High seas. That is not relevant, but just for information purposes. Now that is all about your sea area. Understand that India is extended till 200 nautical miles. Because GST is all about tax, economic rights. For GST law, India is up to EEZ. So you're not talking about sovereign rights is there up to TWA, but economic rights can be up to EEZ. So India is extended up to, you can understand in this way, entire area of TWA and designated areas of EEZ, India is extended for the purpose of GST law. And friends, when you talk about air area, it is quite simple. Air area only and only above territory of India and territorial waters. So when you talk about air, national airspace, it is only and only above what? The territory of India, only and only above the territory of India, that is land area, and 12 nautical miles, not beyond that. So when you talk about air area, so it is only the land area, it is only and only the airspace above the land area, as well as air above 12 nautical miles, territorial waters of India, not beyond that. So airspace is only restricted above the land area and above your territorial waters of India. So you have the airspace even covered there. Friends, this is important when you talk about some, say, satellite sort of activities. So when a satellite is launched, and if it is launched from India or within the 12 nautical miles, then that satellite launched will be belonging part of India, will be part of India, and Indian government will have all the rights to levy such taxes on the services provided by the satellite, just for example purposes. Now we are talking about state and union territories, because once this is all about India, we have discussed entirely about India, not only land area but also sea area and air area. If I were to summarize India land area is equal to entire India including the state of Jammu and Kashmir. When you talk about sea area, entire area of TWA plus designated areas of exclusive economic zone. When you talk about air area, above the land area and about 12 nautical miles, you have the air area of India. Now friends, it becomes very important to discuss what is meant by state and union territories. Why? If you see the definition of India and if you see the land area definition, it talks about territory of India as per Article 1. And Article 1 tells that territory of India will include territories of states, territories of union territories, and such other territories as may be acquired. So you should know what is meant by state, as per CGST Act, and what is meant by union territory. State is defined under Section 2, Clause 103 of CGST Act. Union territory is defined in Section 2, Clause 114 of CGST Act. Right, so definitions are always under your CGST Act. Section 2, definitions are always under Section 2. So state under Section 2, Clause 103, union territory under Section 2, Clause 114. Right, why? Because only that state, supposing that if the supply is within the state of Delhi, right, or within the state of say Maharashtra, you will have CGST plus Maharashtra SGST. So it is very important to understand the boundaries of what is meant by state and what is meant by union territory as per your GST law. Now states is defined in a very simple language. So states includes, inclusive definition, union territories with legislature. It will obviously have states, but it will also include union territories with legislature. Now what is meant by that? Few union territories for the purpose of GST law will be called as state, and that is the reason I was calling Delhi as a state. So you'll have Delhi, you'll have Puducherry, as well as you'll have Jammu and Kashmir. These are the three union territories which are having legislature. When I tell which are having legislature, they have a legislative assembly to discuss a law, to discuss and pass a law. Now other union territories. Now what are the other union territories? They are without legislature. They don't have legislature. They cannot pass laws. For all these other union territories, only parliament will pass laws. So when you talk about other union territories, you have Andaman and Nicobar, you have Lakshadweep, you have Dadar and Nagar Haveli along with Daman and Diu. Now they are merged. Earlier Dadar and Nagar Haveli was separate, Daman and Diu was separate. Now Dadar and Nagar Haveli and Daman and Diu are one union territory. Ladakh, Chandigarh and other territories. So understand that other territories which are acquired by India, they will be called as union territories. For GST law, state will include state plus 3 union territories with legislature. Union territory will include all union territories minus those 3 union territories which are called as state. And it will also include other territories which is acquired by India. It will be called as union territory. So if any new territory is acquired by India, say for example part of Pakistan and part of say China is acquired, it will be initially called as union territory. Now friends, if you have to understand this in a very clear manner, you have to know that as of now India has got how many states? As of now India has got 28 states. Friends, it was 29 states, but Jammu and Kashmir was split into 2 union territories, so it became 28 states. And as of now, how many union territories India has got? Initially you had union territories 7. Thereafter Daman and Diu, Dadar and Nagar Haveli were merged into 1, so it became 6. But Jammu and Kashmir was split into 2 union territories, it became 8 union territories. 8 union territories. Friends, understand that states were 29, but Jammu and Kashmir was split into 2 union territories, so it became 28 as of now. Union territories earlier were 7, but Daman and Diu and Dadar and Nagar Haveli became 1, therefore it became 6, and Jammu and Kashmir was split into 2 union territories, so plus 2 it is 8 union territories. So this is the present status of India. So when you talk about the present status, you have 28 states and 8 union territories. Now this is when you talk about normal meaning. This is when you talk about the normal meaning of India. This is when you talk about the normal meaning of state and union territory. But as per GST law, now you have to understand that GST law tells that there are not 28 states, we have 28 plus 3. 28 plus 3, that is we have 31 states. Why? This plus 3 includes 3 union territories with legislature, that is your Delhi and your Puducherry as well as your Jammu and Kashmir. Right, so DPJ rather than APJ Abdul Kalam, it is DPJ. Delhi, Puducherry and Jammu and Kashmir, these 3 union territories are with legislature. They have their legislative assembly to pass the law. So it is 31 states. Now when you talk about union territories, it is 8. Normally as of now it is for normal purposes. If I tell how many states are there, you should answer 28 states. How many union territories are there, you should tell 8 union territories. But for the purpose of GST law, it is 8 union territory minus 3. Why minus 3? These 3 union territories, that is DPJ, not APJ. APJ Abdul Kalam replaced it by DPJ. Delhi, Puducherry, Jammu and Kashmir. They are no more for GST law. They are called as states. That being the case, you have 5 union territories. 5 union territories for GST law. Right. And as well as for your GST law, you have to understand that other territories as may be acquired. So as per your constitution, you may have even other territories as may be acquired, new other territories which are acquired, but for the purpose of GST law, this other territories that are acquired will be called as union territory, right? So all you have to know that normally the answer differs. Normally states are 28 states, union territories are 8 union territories, plus there may be other territories that may be acquired, that will be separate. So you have three parts, states, union territories and other territories that may be acquired. But for the purpose of GST law, you have 28 plus 3, that is 31 states. What are the 3 states? Delhi, Puducherry and Jammu and Kashmir. And for the purpose of the GST law, you have 5 union territories, that is 8 minus 3. What is that minus 3? It is again same, DPJ. Right, Delhi, Puducherry and Jammu and Kashmir will not be called as union territories because they have legislature, and for the purpose of GST law, they will be called as states. So you have 5 union territories plus also other territory that may be acquired will be called as union territory. If any new territory is acquired, that will be called as first union territory. So that you have to understand. So that is the importance. Now you may ask, what is the importance of state and union territory? If supply is from, say if there is a supply from Maharashtra to Maharashtra, if there is a supply from Delhi to Delhi, if there is a supply from, say, Ladakh to Ladakh, intrastate supply. It is all intrastate supply. We are focusing only on intrastate supply. Now, if it is Maharashtra to Maharashtra, you will have CGST plus Maharashtra SGST. If it is Delhi to Delhi, you will have CGST plus Delhi SGST. You will have Delhi SGST. Delhi, though it is union territory, but for the purpose of GST law, it is called as state. If it is Ladakh to Ladakh, you will have CGST plus Union Territory GST. Right. Another important thing that you have to understand is Maharashtra SGST law. Maharashtra SGST law will be passed by Maharashtra state. Delhi SGST law will be passed by Delhi state. Because I am calling it a state because for the purpose of GST law it is state. And Union Territory GST law cannot be passed by Ladakh because you are talking about all these union territories, 5 union territories for the purpose of GST law, they don't have legislature. So it will be passed by parliament. So that you have to understand. So if we were focusing on Maharashtra SGST, that Maharashtra SGST law was passed by Maharashtra state. If you are focusing on your Delhi SGST law was passed by Delhi state. But if you are focusing on Union Territory GST law, all, whether it is Ladakh Union Territory or any of the other Union Territories, say Andaman and Nicobar or say Chandigarh, say Lakshadweep, all these Union Territories. How many Union Territories for the purpose of GST law? 5. What are they? Andaman and Nicobar, Lakshadweep, Ladakh, Chandigarh, Daman and Diu, as well as Daman and Diu and Dadar and Nagar Haveli, which is 1. So 5 Union Territories. These laws will be passed by, the Union Territory GST law is passed by your parliament. So that needs to be understood. So that is the importance here. So when you talk about total union territories, here it is clearly mentioned. Total states for the purpose of GST are 31 states, and SGST Act is passed by the respective state legislature. And when you talk about total number of union territories for the purpose of GST law, it is 5, 8 minus 3. And UTGST Act, there's only one UTGST Act, not separate UTGST Acts. One UTGST Act. States will have their own separate state law, but UTGST Act will be only one. For all the 5 union territories, there will be only one UTGST Act, will be passed by parliament. For all the union territories, will be passed by parliament. That we discuss in the example. Now friends, you have something called as special category states. So you have something called as special category states. You have to understand that we have special category states. You have to understand special category states as per constitution, as per article 279 capital A, sub article 4G. as per Article 279 capital A. 279 capital A 4G, it defines what are special category states. As well as we have special category states as per explanation to section 22, explanation to section 22, explanation 3 to section 22. So when you talk about special category states, there are special category states as per constitution and there will be special category states as per GST law. Obviously you have to remember special category states as per your GST law. You have to remember special category states as per your GST law. So that is what you have to remember as per GST law. Now what are the special category states as per constitution? Because when I tell just special category states, you should not be confused. As per constitution, special category states are different, but for the purpose of GST law, special category states are different. So if I were to explain you the meaning of special category states, so we are focusing on what? We are focusing on, we have discussed states, we have discussed India, then we have discussed states and union territory. Now we are focusing on special category states. Now you may ask, what is the importance of special category states? You have the importance of special category state for your threshold limit for registration as well as for composition scheme, which we'll be discussing later in a chapter called as small dealers. So you do have the importance of special category states. That importance will be that will be understood when you're talking about threshold limit for your registration as well as when you're talking about your composition scheme when we're discussing a chapter called as small dealers. But at least let us understand what is special category states. As we have discussed what is states and union territories, let us complete this by understanding special category states. So when you talk about special category states, first friends, you have to understand that it is separately as per your constitution and it is separate as per your GST law. As per constitution, article 279 capital A, and as per GST law you are talking about explanation to section 22, explanation 3 to section 22, right? As per constitution, what are the special category states? How you have to remember? As per constitution, you have to remember special category states in a very simple way. Eight sister states, northeastern states are always called as 8 sister states. 8 sister states. Plus 3 hilly area states. 3 hilly area states. So when I talk about 8 sister states, what are the 8 sister states you have? You have Assam, you have Arunachal Pradesh, you have Manipur, you have Mizoram, you have Meghalaya, you have Sikkim, you have Tripura. Assam, Arunachal Pradesh, Manipur, Mizoram, Nagaland we missed out, Nagaland, Sikkim and Tripura. So these are the 8 sister area states that we have. These are the 8 sister area states. Rather we can write it down as well. Sikkim and your Tripura. These are the 8 sister area states. Assam, Arunachal Pradesh, Manipur, Mizoram, Meghalaya, Nagaland, Sikkim, Tripura. So always you can remember these are all the 8 northeastern states which we call it as sister area states, and friends understand that they are part and parcel of India. It is sad that at times we don't treat them as part and parcel of India. We call them as, okay, where you are from, okay, from Nagaland, okay, how are you related to China, etc. Please avoid that. They are very much part and parcel of India. They are very much Indian as we belong. So never ask such type of questions to these people. Rather when you talk about these people, their culture is so beautiful. So once in a lifetime you should make sure that you visit that place, northeastern states, as a trip with your friends or your family members. Visit that place, you will be in love with that place, right? And 3 hilly area states. Now what are the 3 hilly area states that we have? 8 sister states, that is northeastern states, and 3 hilly area states. You are talking about Himachal Pradesh, Uttarakhand and Jammu and Kashmir. Now it is Jammu and Kashmir as well as Ladakh. Now it is Jammu and Kashmir as well as Ladakh. Previously it was Jammu and Kashmir. So we will call it as 3 hilly area states. This is for the purpose of your constitution. So for the purpose of constitution, there are in total 11 special category states. 11 includes Jammu and Kashmir and Ladakh, we have taken it as 1. So 8 sister area states plus 3 hilly area states. 3 hilly area states. Now, what is important for you to remember is what are the special category states for GST law in terms of explanation 3 to section 22. Now, how to remember that? Among these states, only 4 states are selected when you talk about GST law special area states. Now, what are they? They are Tripura, Manipur, Mizoram and Nagaland. Now, you may wonder why I have written in this way. It's a very simple way to understand. Now, what in India is very important for you to be a very successful politician? If I have had to ask this question, if at all you want to be a successful politician in India as of now, though it is a sad story, as of now, what are the qualities that you require? You require 3 important things to be successful in politics in India. What are these 3 important things? Money. 3 important things, Tripura. The first important thing is money. Then you require land. Then you require religion, that is Ram. Obviously, it is a sad story, but nevertheless, for remembrance purposes, we can use that. So, when you talk about special category states as per GST law, just remember Indian politics. For you to be successful in Indian politics, you require 3 important things. Tree. When you talk about tree, it is talking Tripura. First is money, that is Manipur. Second is land, that is Nagaland, and third is Ram. Right? You talk about religion, Ram, that is Mizoram. Obviously, all these 3 things are not good for politics, but still, nevertheless, they are used. So, that being the case, we are making our understanding simple. How to remember that? There are 4 special category states for your GST law. What are they? Tripura, Manipur, Mizoram and Nagaland. How to remember that? For a successful Indian politician, they focus on 3 important things: money, land and Ram. 3, Tripura. Money, you are talking about Manipur. Land, you are talking about Nagaland. Ram, you are talking about Mizoram. So, that is how you can remember. So, for your GST law, there are only 4 special category states. And as already discussed, right, the importance of these special category states will be there in your exemption scheme, that is threshold limit for exemption, as well as your composition scheme, which will be discussed in a chapter and called as small dealers. So that will be discussed. What is the importance? You may wonder why we should remember special category states. That will be understanding when you take your threshold limit for exemption and composition scheme in a chapter called as small dealers. So that importance we will understand in that chapter. So now you know applicability of India thoroughly. First we saw it is applicable to entire India, including the state of Jammu and Kashmir, now which is split into Jammu and Kashmir and Ladakh. Thereafter we saw what is meant by India. Then we saw what is meant by states and union territories, and we concluded by understanding even what is meant by special category states. What is meant by special category states. So that is all about your applicability of GST.